Take a seat.
I sit here? How odd. Okay. Yeah. Well, big thing just for us.
Just for us. I know a lot of space. We could lie down. Wherever
Yeah,
we like.
great. That would be nice.
So
yes,
it's been
yes, ma'am.
over 20 years since you've been to the Phocuswright conference. I'm sure you don't remember.
How time does fly.
From 20 years ago? No, it doesn't. But here we are. And I remember the first time you were here was 2002. And it was right after, pretty much a few months after, you bought the controlling interest in Expedia, which for those of you who don't remember was a monumental thing because the Twin Towers had fell and many of us wondered if that deal was still going to close.
Me too.
And it was Mr. Diller who said very famously, if there is life, there's travel.
Yep.
And that turned
so
everything around for all of us because we had a lot of faith in the industry back then and we knew if he did it, it would be okay. But I do want to ask you, were you a little nervous at the time? You took a big risk. That was travel's darkest hour.
I get nervous about bigger things than that. But it was a kind of moment when it really did, and it wasn't me, it was someone in one of our conferences, in our offices, we were scrambling around trying to think, do we do this? Do we pay at the time? It was, I think, $1 billion, something over $1 billion, which was kind of real money then. And do we go forward with this? There is no travel. It's been shut down. Who knows what the world is going to be? And that rang true then as it does now. And the thing is that since there will be life until we're all a simulation in some future artificial intelligence models, nothing is going to disintermediate travel, the experience of travel. No technology, no anything is going to get in the way of it and a person wanting to do it. So, yeah, I can't be too sure about life because we're entering a period of such radical, revolutionary, without any question, no matter all of the noise that is being made today, it's moving so fast. But yeah, life, travel, count on it.
We also survived the plague, right?
Yeah, I mean, with a lot of damage, but that's okay. I wasn't around then, even though some might think
COVID.
That I was. Oh, I thought you meant the plague.
No. Okay, this book is fantastic, and this is a great book. And for reading and listening, I know a lot of people that like to listen to the audiobook, which with your voice. I was a reader. And I know you've been it's been 6 months now since you published this amazing book.
Yeah, seems like forever, but
so I want to ask you.
That's what you do when you publish a book, which I didn't know. I think if I'd known it, well, I don't know, I probably still would have done it, but whatever.
It took you 10 years to write?
Well, I didn't write it like for 10 years. I would put it away for a couple of years or a year, and then I'd come back to it and back and forth. The whole process took a long time.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, just for our audience, for those who don't know, like, tell us a little bit about, like, what was it like telling your story, and also, was the reaction what you expected?
Well, no. First, what was it like? It started really just because I know something about narrative because I've been doing stories all my life, and I thought, you know what? This is the arc of this is a good tale, and the question was, can I tell it? And if I'm going to tell it, then there's no reason to do it other than to tell it true. And so that's what I tried to do. What surprised me is, first of all, my wife, who's written like 5 books, said to me, you know, you got to get ready. It's going to be very exposing. And I, a compartmentalist supreme, said, oh no, you know, my life's been exposed for so long, please. Well, let me tell you, yes, it is extraordinarily exposing, particularly when you get very personal questions on camera, live camera, and you can't rip the thing off and walk out, or at least you can, but I didn't. But what surprised me more than anything is the emotional responses I've gotten from so many people. Most of you haven't read it probably, and I didn't think it was all that emotional, and yet I guess it is. So that was the surprise. And that's what made me, I mean, sure, I'm glad I did it. I ain't gonna do it again, but I am glad that I did it, but I'm really glad because of the responses I've gotten. They're
I bet. I'm not
really
surprised.
nice.
Not
Anyway,
surprised at all. And it also gives us so much content, so much to talk about. I'm sure all the quotes in there, very quotable. So we're going to go through a few of those. And one of the things that I thought was quite interesting, because I was able to also relate to it in my own way, was that you ran studios, you ran networks, right? But you were working for somebody else. I always felt like you were working for somebody else.
well, I
And
was.
Exactly. And then you decided to go on your own and create a series of companies that eventually became what IAC is today. And you did say, and this is going to be my first quote from your book, big word, entrepreneur. I wasn't a natural one. I was a tried and true corporatist. So what made you decide it was time to go on your own at age 49?
Well, what happened was I'd been working for companies since I was 19, and it wasn't that I was in any way I had a great experience. I ran 2 movie companies and started a broadcast. I mean, whatever. You don't want to hear me riff on that, but it was.
It's all in the book.
Yeah. Okay, fine. A little sales note. What it was for me is that I decided that I began to question this thing it kind of formed in my mind as you either are or you're not. I wanted independence. I wanted to see, I'd been in corporate life all my life, and I wanted to see if I could do something, quote, on my own, depend on me, not on the mothership. I didn't really want to do it because Fox was thriving. Fox had started out hopeless. Everyone thought it would fail, and by 6 years later, it was the #1 network. Our movies were doing great, so everything was really good. But I had this I thought, if I don't do it now, well, certainly I'll never do it, and it's kind of a little late. And I kind of forced myself out. I didn't really want to go. But when I would say you either are or not capable of starting something on your own, I could not answer that in the negative. I just couldn't give into that. And so I really very reluctantly, I pushed myself, literally shoved myself out the door to start something, and I didn't know what.
So what would your advice be to all the other entrepreneurs out here?
Ask the question. I mean, and by the way, I don't think of it as so much as aspirational, because working in companies all your entire life is a certainly fine thing, and I have absolute respect for it. But if you got that yearn in you, that bug, at some point, grab it, because every year that you don't, you will have some. That was it. I thought, I can't regret it. I can't face the idea that I'll keep putting this off and say, 2 years from now will be a life of regret. I didn't want to have that.
You also saw the digital age coming, and I would say probably mid-90s.
Well, I had an epiphany, and I don't overuse that word. I mean, a genuine epiphany, because I went to QVC, Shopping Network, where my wife had just gone on it and called me and said, you just have to come see this. And I thought, okay, this was my interregnum after I left Fox, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just didn't want to repeat myself. I didn't want to go run another studio or do that stuff. And I went to QVC, and I saw about the size of this, a stage, and I saw screens being used for something other than telling stories. Now, I'd only known you use screens, in this case, television screens for narrative. And I saw this first primitive interactivity. And I was kind of struck smart, dumb, whatever, when I saw this, because I thought, well, this is something completely different than everything that I had ever spent time on or had any interaction with. I did not know, I didn't see around any corners, I didn't know how it would evolve, but I was fascinated sheerly by interactivity. And so a few months later, serendipity, my kind of lodestar, came into view when the owners of QVC said that the man who founded it was going to retire and I could buy his interest. And to the shock of everyone who thought, what is he doing going into home shopping, this person from, quote, Hollywood, I did just that. And luckily, this is 1992. So I had a little fluency in interactivity, and along in 95 comes the internet. And so, as they say, I was off to the races.
So you saw the convergence of phone and screen, right, with HSN, but did you imagine the screen was going to get so small?
Well, no, of course not.
We thought the TV would be...
I mean, that was not, that was, I remember when I did see the demo, the Jobs demo, and I just went, wow. And then I got my hands on it and went double wow. Yeah. Which all of you did too. So it's now, we've lived with this now for 20 years, 2006, I think. Anyway.
Because we're at another turning point. So another one of your quotes, and I'm just using parts of it. You called yourself lucky and an internet opportunist with no overarching plan. So.
Yeah, I don't believe in those.
But I'm asking you that because now we're at this turning point with AI.
Yeah.
So everybody in here is like, should I have a plan? Do I go by instinct? Do Mr. Diller did, or do I do a ton of research and or do I go and just wing it?
So what's the question?
So what is your advice to our audience?
About AI?
Yes, about how they should approach it.
Well, I'll tell you, I was thinking about this a bit, I don't know, a while ago, which is the current. You got to go back to, again, 20 years or so ago. It is 20 years, actually, when we bought a company called Ask.com. And at that time, search was mostly 10 blue links. And Ask.com came along with a thing called a smart answer, which it thought was a better way to, just a better search experience. And it was inventive and great, and guess what? Google stole it in about an hour and a half. And we have all lived a generation where we have lived in the monopoly of Google. They are a complete monopoly in search. They have been to almost this date. And the people, for instance, in travel, my company and its nearest competitor spend over $10 billion a year with Google on search. And I'm sure there are many more billions spent to get queries to feed all of the services all of us are engaged in. That's ending for the first time. AI is ending it. And as you can see from ChatGPT with 900 million, I think, the greatest adoption in the history of whatever, and Microsoft and the other, Microsoft, for decades, desperate to crack into search, spending multiple billions to do so, never getting above 1 or 2%. Now with AI, has a chance. The search experience is that search monopoly experience of Google is going to end.
What is Google going to end?
What its consequences are to Google, I can't say. They're a giant company. They've got all sorts of other things they do. For instance, YouTube is becoming basically internet television. and is thriving. So I don't worry, believe me, do not worry about Google. But for all of us who've been serfs on the land of Google, as Google has increasingly taken share of the quote page and rendered relatively few queries as they've continued to take over that page, this is ending, and it is all of our opportunity. As for AI and the worries of agentic, meaning, you all know what agentic means, but what is the derivation of agentic? Agent. Well, what are online travel people? They are agents. They are going to, so I do not worry, well, of course I worry about everything, but about being disintermediated because we're using all these AI tools to make our agent experience better. And if we do that, I don't believe that we are going to get disintermediated in that future. And I think, while I think that AI with its, like right now, the only thing that's really benefiting in real revenues is people who deliver electricity and who are the recipients of these huge electricity bills. This gigantic investment. I mean, it is, when you hear, you know, I said before $1 million was important, $1 billion was important. Well, $1 trillion right now is really important. And that is, and it's multiple trillions expected and kind of committed, if the financing holds, to build data centers. And that is going to, there will be some near-term bubble because the revenue won't come as soon as the expense comes. Same thing that happened in the internet in 2001. But of course, AI is going to, I mean, we're in the beginning. We are lucky that, I will tell you, 10 years ago, my friend Sam Altman founded OpenAI, and he said to me 10 years ago, he thought it'd be 30 to 40 years before we got AGI. 5 years ago, he said it'd be 20 years. 3 years ago, he said it'd be 10 years. A year ago, and currently, he says a year, 2, maybe. The idea that we are all living at the very beginning of this extraordinary transformation, I mean, it's a wonder. But as for us, the people in this room who are engaged in travel, if you're engaged in retail travel, worry not, you can't be disintermediated. If you're an intermediary, if you use AI tools, which are bountiful, and we've been using them in Expedia for years, and everybody's been doing machine learning, but we've been modernizing every aspect of our business using AI tools, and we'll continue to do so. So sorry, this is a long...
Yeah, because you answered all my questions about AI already, so that was good, thank you.
Well, okay.
Because you're not worried. You're not worried for Expedia.
Well, look, of course, you know, you'd be a fool not to worry about everything or anything, but I believe for sure. Well, the one thing I guarantee you, travel ain't going to be disintermediated. It's why we bought MGM Resorts, because I wanted assets that no one could get between me and those assets with any kind of technology. The same is true for
You don't think the
all
metaverse is going to replace the personal?
Well, you know, the metaverse, no. The metaverse was a nice idea. I don't think it ought to have renamed a company. And I think talk of all that is kind of yesterday's news. Their news today is, of course, AI. I mean, look, if we're all in the simulation, nothing else matters. So who cares? But I'm going to count on, you know, human folk walking around thinking, talking, and relating to each other.
You said I'm best building things from scratch. I've learned I'm not a very good shepherd of things already built. Okay, so Expedia is already built. Over 20 years, amazing business, over 100 billion in gross bookings, still growing, great third quarter results. But if you were going to rebuild Expedia, what would you do? Or build a travel business from scratch today,
Whoa.
what would you do different?
What would I do different? I'd do it. I mean, a good idea is a good idea. Expedia was a great idea to colonize travel for the internet. So, I mean, what I'm doing now, our companies, primarily People Inc., which is the largest publisher in the, I think, well, it's definitely the largest publisher in the United States, with People Magazine and 63 other magazines, many of which—
Travel and Leisure.
Travel, Leisure, and Southern Living, which I didn't really know about, which is this powerhouse, great magazine for any of you who like magazines still. Anyway, People Inc. Is actually working on kind of inverting its business. And I'll give you just a couple. So when you say, what am I doing? What fascinates me is you're sitting around at Travel and Leisure, thinking that, you know, the advertising business, which is 90+% of people's revenue, we've got to diversify it. And we have, it's not like we make it up. We have so much in our journalistic history and in our journalistic daily output. So at Travel or Leisure, I'm sitting around with them, and I said, so how come you know everything about glam travel all over the world, shoot beautiful pictures, go to all, you just know these places better than anyone. How come you didn't invent White Lotus? And then I was, Food and Wine is one of our other big magazines, biggest in its category. And they know everything about it, everything you drink or whatever. I said, how come you didn't invent Casamigos? So what we're about is taking each of our magazines and, in a sense, inverting what the possibilities are. And there are so many ideas that you just get up in the morning and say, yeah, that's total joy and fun.
So each magazine is like its own little business in terms of how
They're all their own businesses. They're all
how you're thinking of growing
all
them.
the ones that I've mentioned are certainly profitable, both print, which is shocking that we have profitable print magazines, but we do, and digital.
All recipes.
We're the largest player in digital. So they're, but they have thought of themselves, of course, as totally an advertising business. I want them to think of themselves, of course, as domain experts in areas from which we can, because of our knowledge and because of our megaphone, we can invent things and promote them. So that's that part. And then MGM, see the other part, other than Expedia. I mean, we've spun off 10 public companies, so.
You just spun off Angie.
We just spun off Angie.
Yeah.
But I got interested in MGM because I thought, I know I'm not a great Las Vegas practitioner, but I'm sure you go occasionally, whatever. But when I realized, which I did not know, first of all, I absolutely knew, it doesn't take more than a bird brain to know, that no one is ever going to duplicate Las Vegas anywhere in the world. It's not possible, no matter whether Saudi Arabia tries to Neom itself into financial disaster or whatever they're going to do. It's not possible to recreate it, and every year it gains as the capital of sports, entertainment, everything, obviously, gaming, but gaming's not the biggest portion of it. Its depth and breadth is on its own quite remarkable. It ain't gonna get replaced. And 42% of every dollar that goes through Las Vegas goes through one of our properties. And we have 9. And when I realized the depth and breadth of that infrastructure and got to know the company, now by the way, I also got very lucky because this is post-COVID, an inch while it was kind of still closed. So we could make the shares that we bought nicely unpricey. Yeah. But I again see that as a kind of once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I didn't create it, but there it is, and we can participate in it. So those are my futures.
So how do you decide what goes in and out of the portfolio?
What do I do? What?
How do you decide what goes in and out of the portfolio?
Well, once companies have gotten to a certain stage, I like spinning them off so that they're independent. And as I said, we've done it 11 times. So it's it kind of self-deals itself. There's no absolute moment. It's just when, okay, this is the right time for that, this and that circumstance. And we very rare, I mean, we will sell some fringe things or sell things that didn't work out for whatever we can get for them, which certainly has been in our history. But we tend not to sell anything. I don't like selling, I like buying.
You like buying. You like running IAC?
Pardon me?
You like running IAC?
Well, I don't really run it anymore. I'm kind of passed over that, or I don't know, aged out of that to some degree.
Spending more time
I'm
on
still
your
responsible for it, but I don't know. The daily running of something is just not something that, I have too many things I'm curious about, too many things I'm interested about.
Like what else?
Being on a boat.
I know.
Adventuring all over the world.
That ending of your book, where you're like sailing away.
Being curious. Hello, is that goodbye?
Okay, well, I'm not going to let this go without mentioning your philanthropic work, okay? And I don't know if we could put the pictures up here, but I don't know how many of you know that Mr. Diller and his amazing wife, Diane von Furstenberg, have, funded Little Island. How many of you have been on Little Island in New York on the West Side?
Oh, not enough of you.
Isn't that wonderful?
Go to New York, go see Little Island.
How many
it's
people
really
have been
nice.
happy and also invested in the High Line?
Yeah,
so,
we did that too.
Just a wonderful thing. And
yeah, it's a pretty thing, Little Island. I mean, it was a nightmare to build, but like many experiences, you don't remember pain.
I do want to end with one last question.
Sure.
Okay. You've taken risks all your life. What's the next risk you're going to take?
When I walk out of here. Thank you all. Nice to be with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Barry Diller.
Thank you.